Capital News tonight. Citizens of Tanzania mainland celebrate 61 years of independence. Police in Kagera kill one robber during a firearm exchange. And in sports, the Cruise leaves Singida due to family issues. Good evening. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get started with the national news. Tanzanians have celebrated 61 years of the independence of Tanzania mainland by engaging in various social activities throughout the country. Residents of Ifakara and Morogoro region have commemorated by raising concern on increase in gender violence incidents and the behavior of parents of resolving the incidents without involving relevant authorities. Residents of Kilosa have also commemorated the day by planting over 2,273 trees.
Ningeshauri kwanza tuwaweke wazi watoto wetu. Na watoto wetu tuwatoe hofu kwa sababu unakuta mtu anakuambia ukisema utakufa au ukifanya hivi utafanya hivi. Kwa hiyo yani tuweke wazi kila kitu, tuambie mtu akikufanya 1 2 3 njoo niambie. Mtu akikwambia hichi njoo niambie. Yaani yule mtoto awe ni rafiki kwako. Kila kitu na kila kitu anachofanyiwa na kinachoendelea katika maisha yake awe anakueleza, yani asiwe na hofu.
Baada ya leo, kwa maana kuanzia kesho, yule ambaye hajasajili cheso yake tusilaumiane. Na ni imani kwamba cheso nyingi zimekuwa zimesalimishwa kwa ajili ya kuokoa misitu yetu katika wilaya.
Lakini mwaka huu 2022,
this is a very special year because today we are commemorating 61 years of independence.
Kwa sababu leo tunasherehekea miaka 60 ya jamhuri.
Meanwhile, in Mbeya, residents have commemorated Tanganyika's independence by having debates and cleaning the side of the main Tanzania-Zambia road for over 3 kilometers to motivate the community to live in a clean environment.
Kama shule tumeona ni vema tukaungana na rais wetu wa Jamhuri ya Muungano, mama yetu Samia Suluhu, kwa ajili ya kusherehekea hizi kwa kufanya usafi. Kwa hivyo tumekuwa na wanafunzi tukifanya usafi maeneo ya kando kando barabara kuu ya Tanzania na Zambia. Lengo letu ni kwamba usafi uwe ni utamaduni wetu wa kila wakati, kwa sababu kama binadamu hatuna budi kuishi kwenye mazingira yaliyokuwa safi.
Kwa wananchi wote wanaopita kwa miguu au wengine wanaokuwa katika vyombo vya usafiri, magari,
endelee kusimamia na kuweka mitaala itakayoweza kusomesha vijana wetu kuanzia nasari mpaka vyuo vikuu juu ya somo zima la maadili, kwa sababu maadili ndo icon ya nchi, na tukipuuza hapo ujue kabisa tutakuwa tumepuuza jambo kubwa sana.
Residents of Zanzibar have commended the President of Tanzania, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, for her decision to cancel Independence Day celebrations and instead direct the funds used to be for the community.
Leo tumesema katika kusherehekea sikukuu
It is important to remember such children, at least for them to know the value of this day. We are happy with the warm welcome and the way you have accepted our gifts.
Mama Samia kwa kuzifuta hizi sherehe na kuweza.
This was a good decision because as citizens we had to focus on social responsibilities by visiting hospitals and orphanage centers instead of wasting a lot of money and time for celebrations. At the hospital, we saw there is a ward that is not enough for expectant mothers to get maternity services properly. If the funds were used properly in all over the years, then such problems could not exist.
Naomba sana sherehe zingine kama hizi zitumike kwa ajili ya manufaa ya wananchi, sio wanaume kucheza muziki.
And the police force in Kagera region has succeeded in killing 1 out of 3 robbers during a firearm exchange between officers and the robbers that had planned to invade Benako oil fueling station in Ruaka Lemela, Kasura Ward, Ngara district.
Wakiwa doria majira ya saa 2:30 walipata taarifa fiche kwamba kuna watu wanaosadikiwa kuwa ni majambazi.
Police officers while on duty at around 8:30 p.m. received information of suspected people who were intending on invading a petrol station. Around 11 p.m. in Wakalemela village, Kasula Ward, 3 suspected people were stopped by the police for interrogations, where they immediately started shooting out the police officers. At their shootout, police officers managed to shoot one of the suspects, where later on one of the suspects ran away and the other surrendered himself to the police.
Kuwarushia uelekeo ambao askari walikuwepo. Askari hawakupanic, walianza kujibu, na walipowajibu walifanikiwa kumjeruhi mmoja kutoroka. Wakati huo mwingine alijisalimisha kwa askari hao.
And the government has revealed that the research report on ethical consideration for public servants for 2022 has shown that there are still complaints of unethical practices in the police force, court and land services. The report has also shown that information technology systems have helped raise ethics and diligence in public service.
Lakini eneo jingine ambalo utafiti umeonyesha ni lazima.
It is important for us to consider monitoring of ethics adherence on provision of services during calamities. This report correlates with National Governance and Corruption Survey conducted by PCCB in 2022.
Residents of villages that make up Kidete Ward in Kilosa District, Morogoro region, have asked the government to excavate the Kidete, Kimagai and Msagai dams that were demolished by El Niño rains in previous years, making them unable to get water from River Montoa and causing flooding when the river fills up and is diverted during the rainy season.
The government has prohibited human activities 60 meters away from the river, but due to lack of farming land, people are forced to cultivate within the restricted range. Instead, the government should make adjustments by focusing much on broken dams instead. Proper land uses are efficient in solving land conflicts because people will have their own title deeds on surveyed land.
Elderly in Rukwa region that took part in nation-building exercises in Nkasi district after Tanganyika gained independence in 1961 have called on youth to work hard as a way to remember the father of the nation, the late Julius Kambarage Nyerere's efforts.
Ilikuwa naitwa Union Jack. Tuliteremsha saa 6:01 tukapandisha bendera ya uhuru, na kipindi hicho salamu ilikuwa uhuru na umoja. Baadaye ndipo tulipopewa salamu nyingine kwamba uhuru na kazi.
And residents of Ukerewe in Mwanza region have also joined others in the country in celebrating 61 years of Tanganyika's independence, with the retired Speaker of Parliament, Pius Msekwa, using the opportunity to explain the importance of a new constitution that meets the country's current needs, including political ones.
Ni kweli kwamba katiba tulionayo ilitungwa wakati wa mfumo tofauti wa chama kimoja cha siasa.
It is true that the current constitution was formulated during a different system of monopartism. With all these changes, honestly, there is need for some amendments. that would fulfill current system and demands.
Kulinda amani na mshikamano ya Ukerewe kwa sababu hizi ni tunu.
It is our responsibility to protect peace and stability of the nation. These are mega responsibilities that our forefathers have left us. If we will fail to do that, then everybody should know that we do not have a second home. Tanzania is our only home. We should make sure that we protect peace and solidarity that have prevailed in our country for 61 years.
The community has been urged to be in the front lines in the fight against gender-based violence, with the government through lawmakers also urged to work together to oversee the exercise and ensure there is one law that will be directly involved in decision-making on all gender violence cases. This was said by the Managing Director of the Tusonge Community Development Organization, Agnata Rutahaza, when closing the award ceremony for 16 champions of the Anti-Gender-Based Violence Champions Award organized by WildF.
Kuna haja ya makusudi ya kuwa na sheria moja inayohusika moja kwa moja na swala zima la kutokomeza ukatili au kupinga ukatili wa kijinsia au kutoa maamuzi kuhusiana na masuala yote au mashauri yote ya ukatili wa kijinsia Tanzania. Hii itasaidia kuondoa mkanganyiko mkubwa uliopo sasa hivi wa kutumia sheria mbalimbali, na matokeo yake unakuta kwamba haki zinapotea, na hasa zile za watendewa ambao ni wahanga, unakuta kwa asilimia kubwa pia wanapoteza zile haki zao.
Na tuzo hii tunaitoa kwa watu wa kawaida, kwa maana kwamba kuna taasisi kubwa, kwa mfano ukiongelea WildF, ukiongelea kituo cha sheria, kuna taasisi kubwa ambazo zinafahamika na kazi zetu zinafahamika, lakini kuna wenzetu pia ambao wengi wao taasisi zao ni ndogo, wengine hawana taasisi kabisa, lakini wanafanya mabadiliko makubwa sana katika maeneo yao, na wengine walikuwa wenyewe pia wamekutwa na vitendo vya ukatili wa kijinsia. Kwa hiyo tunaita wale wahanga wa ukatili wa kijinsia, lakini ile changamoto ameweza kuigeuza kusaidia wengine.
A team of senior government leaders, including ministers and communications experts, have started a trip to the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro in order to launch national communications cables at the peak, which will help ease communications for tourists.
Tanzania, kama alivyosema mkurugenzi, inakuwa nchi ya kwanza katika bara la Afrika.
Tanzania is the first country in Africa in introducing internet services on Mount Kilimanjaro. Statistics shows that once at the peak, we shall be on the highest peak in the world.
Kukamilika kwa mradi huu utakuwa na faida nyingi kwa taifa letu.
Completion of this project will be beneficial to our country and visitors by getting access to reliable, speedy and affordable internet services.
Megabytes per second.
With the holiday season around the corner, the Police Force's Road Safety Division in Shinyanga region have issued a warning to border drivers who are negligent and do not follow road safety laws, as they continue to provide education at border stands and areas with large gatherings.
Vijana wa bodaboda, niwaambieni ajali nyingi zinazotokea.
In many accidents that occurs, you have been involved. Please mind your speed, consider the number of people that you carry, and adhere to proper road uses. Always remember your families while at work.
Pale kwenye mataa ni sehemu muhimu sana mtu yote kutii na kusimama. Lakini pale pia kuna wakati kunakuwa ni kituo cha kukamata pikipiki.
Traffic lights are very important. People are supposed to strictly adhere to their directives. Police officers also use the highway as a station for arresting motorbikes. May police officers use a different spot of arresting motorbikes, because people will not follow traffic lights and instead focus on evading police officers.
That's all for the national news. International news is next. In international news, In the Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania People's Defense Forces officers in the MONUSCO have been given medals for their peacekeeping efforts in the country, with the officers calling on citizens of the DRC to use talks as a way to resolve conflict.
Kwa sababu ili nchi iendelee inahitaji amani. Mkitulia mtakwenda mbele sana.
In order for a country to develop, peace is essential too. I believe if people in Congo will stop anger and sit on a table for dialogue, then all these problems shall end.
Kwanza tunashukuru kwamba Umoja wa Mataifa umetambua mchango wetu.
We are grateful that United Nations recognizes our contribution, and we pledge to perform our tasks well.
The 9-person task force appointed by President William Ruto to lead investigations into 4 commissioners of the Electoral Commission that were suspended in Kenya has held its first preliminary meeting.
These proceedings shall commence on 20th at 9 a.m. The allegations that were contained in the petition as conveyed to us. So we've deliberated on the issues that were raised in these proceedings. We shall proceed.
That's all for the international news. Sports news is next. In sports, Singida Big Stars striker Santa Cruz has left for his home in Brazil to address family issues. Here's more.
The Brazilian striker, who impressed in the Premier League, scoring against Tanzania Prisons, has not featured recently, and it has appeared that he left the country. Despite Singida's coach Hans van Ploem insisting the player was allowed to leave for family issues and that he will return, it is hard not to think that maybe he has got another opportunity in his home country.
The government has been urged to invest in primary and secondary school level for the sports sector to develop as students at the Bukoba district participate in the 61 years of Independence Commemoration Day.
Everything has its own stage. You can see the government is striving to invest in sports centers and setting up different programs. This can be one of the ways of heading to the World Cup. Without investment from the low level, we cannot reach the World Cup. Even our fellows like Brazil, Spain, and even Morocco now are performing well. The big secret is to invest in youth programs.
The new Police Tanzania head coach Mwinyi Zahera has requested the club to sign Ibrahim Ajib as he starts the task of retaining the club in the Premier League. Here's more.
Chamazi club not showing any intentions of giving him a new contract as the current one ends in January. The former Simba and Yanga player hasn't had enough playing time at the club since joining from Simba last January. Zahera believes he can utilize Ajib's talent after working with him at Yanga and taking into account that the player might be without a team come January.
And in the World Cup in Qatar, things are getting very hot. Favourites Brazil have bowed out of the World Cup after a 4-2 penalty shootout loss to Croatia. The game ended with a 1-1 draw after extra time, with penalties deciding Brazil's fate. And at 10 p.m. tonight, Netherlands will play Argentina for another spot in the semi-finals. And that sports item ends our news bulletin for this week. On behalf of everyone who worked to bring you this bulletin, my name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching and good night.
Capital News at 9:30 and get updated on what is happening in Tanzania and around the world on political, social, and economic issues and events, without forgetting business and sports news. You can get it all right here on Capital News at 9:30 from Monday to Friday on Zuku Channel 067, Digitech Channel 1103 and Facebook Capital Television Tanzania.
Ni msimu wa kusherehekea, ni msimu wa furaha na upendo, na ITV, Radio 1, Capital Radio na Capital TV tupo pamoja nawe. Tumekuandalia punguzo kubwa la bei kwa matangazo yako. Ewe mfanyabiashara, mwaka huu usikubali kuachwa nyuma. Njoo utangaze nasi bidhaa na huduma zako kwa bei za kujiachia kabisa. Kwa ITV utapata matangazo 5 ya graphics kwa $500 tu, na kwa Radio 1 utalipa matangazo 5 ya kawaida na utapata matangazo 2 bure. Capital TV, Capital Radio na Digital, kote bei ni karibu na bure.